This is a video tutorial and lesson guide on creating and manipulating shapes in Adobe Illustrator. Feel free to work along with the video and pause and play as needed. Topics covered will be the selection tools, the shape tools, rectangle and ellipse tools, using modifier keys, selecting color. When creating shapes in Illustrator, there are a number of factors to consider. First, what shape do you want to create? Next, where do you want to place the shape, and what will the stroke and fill colors be? All shapes in Illustrator have three main components: a path that defines the shape, and then two attributes that provide the appearance for the shape: a stroke and a fill. The stroke is the color that is applied to the path or outline, and the fill is the color that fills the shape. In this image, you can see this shape is defined with a path with no stroke nor fill. It is defined by these anchor points. This shape has a thick red stroke and a blue fill. This shape has no stroke and a gradient fill. Please open the document from the last lesson to get started with creating shapes. We will begin by creating a simple shape, and then using the selection tools, we will manipulate those shapes. Let's begin with creating a basic rectangle shape. To create a rectangle, select the Rectangle tool from the toolbar. Next, let's select colors for our rectangle. There are numerous ways to select and change colors, but for the purposes of this exercise, we will use the color picker located at the bottom of the toolbar. Here we see representational icons of our fill and stroke, as well as a button to set colors back to the default fill and stroke. And we also have a double-sided curved arrow, which when clicked will swap the fill and stroke colors. To select a color, double-click on the icon representing the fill or the stroke that you desire. Let's change the color of the fill first. Double-click on the fill, which is the solid square. Double-clicking will bring up the color picker. Once in the color picker, select a hue from the color bar. Then choose a chroma, tint, or tone, or shade value. Click OK when finished. Now do the same for the stroke. Double-click on the stroke. Now that we have selected the rectangle tool and assigned colors, it's time to draw our shape. Place your cursor or mouse somewhere on the artboard. Click and drag diagonally in any direction to create the rectangle. Holding down the Shift key will constrain it to a perfect square. Holding down the Option key will draw out from the center. Holding down the Option and the Shift keys will create a perfect square. As you can see, my stroke is barely visible. If I want to change the thickness of the stroke, up in the control bar, go to Stroke and select a stroke weight. Since we just created this shape, it is currently selected with its anchor points and path highlighted. To make overall adjustments to the shape, we need to switch to the Selection tool. The Selection tool is the black or the dark gray arrow. When a shape is selected, the handles and anchor points look a little different than when they're not selected. These handles are larger than anchor points and are filled in with white. This is how you can tell that this selection has been made. Let's make some overall adjustments to this rectangle. First, hover your mouse over a corner handle with a double-sided arrow appearing. This indicates that you are now able to resize or scale the shape. Drag on it to resize the shape. The keys on your keyboard also work with Illustrator, and the Shift, Alt, and Option and Command keys are all modifier keys. If you hold down your Shift key while scaling, it will stay in proportion. Now hover your mouse just outside the corner handle and the arrow becomes curved, indicating that you can now rotate the shape. Holding down the Shift key while rotating will snap to the 45-degree increments. You may also use the Selection tool to move an object. Click on the shape as you drag to move the shape. Move the shape to the side. We are now going to create a square using the Rectangle tool. But first, on your own, you will need to select New Fill Color and a new Stroke Color. But first, you must deselect the current shape. To do this, use the selection tool and click outside of the selected shape. To create a square, we must first constrain the proportions of the rectangle. To do this, hold down the Shift key while drawing the rectangle. Use the selection tool to move the square on top of the rectangle. You will quickly see that the square appears to be on top of the rectangle because it is hiding part of the rectangle. We will cover layer order and hierarchy in a future lesson. Next, we will explore the ellipse tool, which will be used to create ovals and circles. The ellipse tool is located in the flyout menu for the rectangle tool. You can tell when a tool has a flyout menu by seeing the small arrow on the bottom right side of the Tools button. Click and hold down to expose the flyout. Select the ellipse tool. Ellipses can be tricky to understand. As you draw an ellipse, it appears to be drawing away from where you are drawing. So to understand how ellipses are drawn, you must imagine a square or a rectangle surrounding your ellipse. Ellipses are drawn based on an imaginary rectangle, corner to corner. Let's give it a try. On your own, select the ellipse tool and choose New Colors. Now we'll create a perfect circle. Select the ellipse tool and New Colors again. Using the ellipse tool while holding down the Shift key and clicking and dragging will create a perfect circle. Now using the selection tool, move each of your shapes around your page so that they feel balanced. Using the selection tool allows you to move shapes overall, their location, their size, and their rotation. The direct selection tool allows you to make individual adjustments. The direct selection tool is the white arrow. Select the direct selection tool. When you select a shape using the direct selection tool, it allows you to access individual anchor points. When I click on an anchor point, it turns solid blue. The other anchor points remain white. I can click and drag that anchor point. If I hold down the Shift key, I can select another anchor point, and then I can move both of them together. I can also do this with 3. To deselect, click away. I can also lasso around 2 anchor points. I can also lasso around 3. If I select the 4th anchor point, I don't have much control. Anchor points on curved objects behave a little differently. We will explore that in a future lesson. Once you have arranged each of the 4 shapes in 4 different colors on the artboard, save the document to be handed in for credit. To save, either click Command S or Control S on a PC, or go to the File menu, Save or Save As. Your document has already been named yourname_ILL-shapes.ai.